Good evening. Faith and prayer both are invisible, but they make impossible things possible. Once said by Buddha. Welcome to BMC News Live English. Myself, Shana Sultana, joining you with the daily news updates. Today's headlines.
Bahrain is open to adopting COVID pills. Don't let your guard down. Call to public by NHRA. Bahrain ranks second globally in COVID-19 recovery index. At least 20 killed in earthquake in southern Pakistan.
Today's news in detail. Bahrain will not hesitate to adopt the first ever oral antiviral medication for COVID-19 once its efficacy is proven, it has been revealed. National Task Force for Combating the Coronavirus senior member and Salmania Medical Complex Infectious and Internal Diseases consultant Dr. Jamila Al Salman was referring to molnupiravir, a medicine that is referred to as huge advance in the treatment of COVID-19. Teachers are being trained to identify their students, often crushing mental health challenges such as anxiety and depression brought on or exacerbated by the pandemic. A 5-day virtual forum or allies training, the trainers is underway after the Health Ministry adopted an evidence-based package developed by the World Health Organization's Eastern Mediterranean Regional Office EMRO team. Bahrain yesterday recorded 45 new COVID-19 cases and 53 recoveries. Of the new cases, 11 were expatriate workers, 31 contacts of local cases and 3 travel related. There was no death recorded yesterday. Medics have warned the public not to get carried away by a false sense of security as COVID-19 infections drop in Bahrain. Although the numbers bode well for the country's overall pandemic situation, the public cannot afford to let their guard down yet, Dr. Al-Qahtani, Dr. Al-Mania and Dr. Al-Salman said at press conference yesterday. Also, a senior medic yesterday dispelled claims that a coronavirus booster dose could cause complications if taken along with a flu shot. She also added, with the annual seasonal flu posing a threat in the next few months, healthcare facilities are gearing up to administer flu vaccines to children as well as adults. Now we shall go for short commercial break. Welcome back. In line with the directives of His Royal Highness Prince Salman bin Hamad Al Khalifa, the Crown Prince and Prime Minister, the Ministry of Health has started providing crizanlizumab, a revolutionary life-changing drug treatment for patients suffering from sickle cell disease. The directives are in line with His Royal Highness the Crown Prince and Prime Minister's commitment to safeguarding public health as a top priority. The treatment has recently started to be offered by the National Health Service in the UK, and it is the first to become available for the disease in 20 years. Crizanlizumab can be used by drip transfusion in sickle cell patients over 16 years of age. The revolutionary drug works by binding to a protein in blood cells to prevent the restriction of blood and oxygen supply. Bahrain is the world's second best country on the latest edition of Nikkei's COVID-19 Recovery Index for September, as the kingdom continues to rise in the rankings, marking great improvements and consolidating its achievements in confronting the pandemic and returning to a normal way of life. The index assesses 121 countries and regions in terms of COVID-19 recovery by calculating a score between 0 and 90 based on 9 factors divided into 3 categories, which are infection management, vaccine rollouts, and mobility. The higher the ranking, the closer a country is to recovery, with low infections, higher inoculation rates, and less strict social distancing measures. Bahrain scored 72%, only 1 point behind Malta, the top scorer, and also ahead of United Arab Emirates, which is 71%, and Saudi Arabia, which is 70.5%. It has been announced. Government employees across UAE are granted a special paid leave that will enable them to visit Expo 2020 Dubai. In Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Fujairah, Ajman, and Sharjah, all government employees would be given 6 days paid leave to visit the World Fair. Al Quwain will grant 8 days to government employees, state news agency reported. The special leave can be used during the period of Expo 2020, which runs from October 1st, 2021 to March 31st, 2022, under the theme Connecting Minds, Creating the Future. UAE has authorized the Russian one-shot Sputnik Light as a standalone COVID-19 vaccine and a booster shot. Health officials have previously approved the emergency use of the Pfizer-BioNTech and Sputnik vaccine as booster shots for approved groups. UAE Golden Visas have been issued to over 500 doctors in Abu Dhabi as part of its efforts to honor the achievements of residents working in the healthcare sector. The doctors were nominated for their commitment, responsibility, and sacrifice for the health and safety of the community. This move was taken to allow doctors and their families enjoy long-term residency in the UAE while highlighting the importance of the healthcare sector. It has been announced. The United Arab Emirates Space Agency announced the commencement of a new Emirati interplanetary mission designed to further accelerate the young nation's space engineering, scientific research, and exploration capabilities and drive innovation and opportunity in the country's private sector. The announcement was made during a ceremony attended by His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, Vice President, Prime Minister and Ruler of Dubai, and His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi and Deputy Supreme Commander of the UAE Armed Forces, Emirates News Agency reported. His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid said, "We have set our eyes to the stars because our journey to development and progress has no boundaries, no borders, and no limitations. Today, we are investing in the generations to come. With each new advancement we make in space, we create opportunities for young people here on the earth," he added. builds on the knowledge and experience gained from the Emirates Mars Mission (EMM). The new mission will involve significant participation from Emirati private sector companies. It is scheduled for launch in 2028 with the primary goal of exploring the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, the source of most meteorites that impact Earth. Tanzanian novelist Abdul Razak Gurna won the 2021 Nobel Prize in Literature for his uncompromising and compassionate penetration of the effects of colonialism and the fate of refugees in the gulf between cultures and continents. Abdul Razak Gurna was born in 1948 and grew upon the island of Zanzibar in the Indian Ocean, but arrived in England as a refugee at the end of the 1960s. Until recently, he was professor of English and post-colonial literatures at the University of Kent, Canterbury, and has published 10 novels and a number of short stories. The theme of the refugees' disruption runs throughout his life, his work. He began writing as a 21-year-old in English exile, and although Swahili was his first language, English became his literary tool, the Swedish Academy said in a statement. At least 20 people were killed and more than 200 people were injured when an earthquake struck southern Pakistan. Disaster Management Authority Director General Nazir Nasir said on Thursday. The earthquake, with a magnitude of 5.7, struck in the early hours of Thursday while people were sleeping. Rescue workers said the deaths were mostly women and children. The quake was relatively shallow at 20 kilometers, which is 12 miles, with an epicenter of 102 kilometers, which is 62 miles east of Quetta, said the U.S. Geological Survey. More than 100 mud houses collapsed and a large number were damaged, including government buildings. Hundreds of people were rendered homeless, Sohail Anwar, Deputy Commissioner in the city of Harnai, said. Social media showed houses shaking and light fittings swaying as the quake struck, and later stunned residents gathering in the street in the dark. The injured were rushed to hospital, while some were treated on stretchers in the street under phone torchlight, it has been announced. A buildup of ash and dust from the erupting Comre volcano on the runway forced authorities in Spain's La Palma to close the island's airport on Thursday, air traffic operator AENA said. Other airports in Canary Islands archipelago of North Africa remained open, however, and an AENA spokesperson said the ash cloud was unlikely to pose any wider risks to air travel for now. It is the second time that La Palma's airport has been shut due to ash buildup since the eruption began on September 19th. It has been revealed. With this, we come to the end of today's news. Stay tuned for daily news updates in BMC News Live English at 7:30 p.m. Thank you so much for watching. Signing off by Shina Sultana. Good night.